Hello, I'm Ali, the best member of the Fantasy Wildcard team, and you're listening to the Dynasty Hotseat.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome back once again to the Dynasty Hotseat, the only Dynasty show out there that is a certified Inferno. And you know what? Speaking of Infernos, today might be the hottest show we've ever had as the Hotseat and the Grill come together to create the biggest Inferno we've ever seen. We've got Ali here, as he said, definitely the best member of the Wildcard team. You can find him over at FF Dynasty Grill and, of course, over at the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast. Ali, you said it before, save the best till last. Right? We've had Matt, we've had Kev, but now we're really, got the cherry on top with you coming on and letting people know your hints and tips and showing them how to draft the team. How you doing, mate?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm absolutely buzzing. That was a great introduction. That we've had the warm-up act of Kevin Matt. But no, seriously, absolutely buzzing as we enter draft week. It's some people say it's the best week of the calendar. So I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating who goes in round one. There's really no consensus. The media and the experts are all over the place. So it's going to be fascinating to find out who gets drafted where. But yeah, can't wait for it. How you doing, Connor?
Yeah, man, I'm doing great. Just kind of fresh off a week in Barcelona. Well, when I was speaking to Murph, I was telling him I was going to Barcelona, and I was predicting I would come back beetroot red, but I'm not as sunburned as maybe wanted to be. The weather wasn't fantastic, but still a wonderful city. So definitely recommend it to anyone listening out there. It's great fun, and can't wait to get back to doing this. I was saying to you before, it's like, how do I do this whole thing again? But we'll get into the run of things pretty quickly. And Ali, I think one thing really important to talk about near the start. I know that the other, your other podcast members have talked about it, but you guys have got that live streamathon, which is coming up pretty soon now. You want to speak a few words about that?
We have, yeah. So Saturday, the 21st of May, we're doing a 16-hour live streamathon. We've got some fantastic guests. Last year was absolutely brilliant. I'd only joined the Wildcard a few weeks previous and just really enjoyed myself. It's a bit of a grueling day, but it's so rewarding. We raised some really good money for Mind Charity, who's, a lot of people, they sort of deal with mental health, and there's a hell of a lot of people dealing with mental health issues up, across the world, and especially during the pandemic, which is still not over. So they're doing some fantastic work. So I think you can hit our link tree up on our Twitter page, and you can make donations there. But yeah, that's coming up 21st of May. We've got some amazing guests. Join us, for 10 minutes, for an hour if you can, and you're going to learn something. We talk about all 32 NFL teams from a dynasty perspective. So wait to see when your team's up there, and yeah, it's a brilliant day.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to get involved with that and, raising money for a truly amazing cause. So yeah, that'll be absolutely amazing. And, what also will be absolutely amazing if, I'm just going to do a cheeky little plug myself. We are this close now to actually hitting my original target from, the first day when I set this up. I thought, I want to get 500 subscribers on Twitter. I want to get 50 people on YouTube subscribed, and we're razor close to both of those. So guys, if you are listening, I know about half the listeners on YouTube aren't subscribed. So if you're listening right now on YouTube and you haven't hit that subscribe button, give it a little press, and let's see if we can hit that 50 goal. And remember, we've got our Hall of Flame in the background there. Ali's resilient Wildcard podcast teammate just knocked off the top. You can see Kev Dynasty go in second place now as Murph has taken the lead. Let's see if we can get Ali up into this top three. I know Paul probably won't be happy about being knocked off the top three spot, but let's see if we can get Ali bumped up here. So make sure you give this video a little thumbs up if you're listening on YouTube. And with that, we're going to get right into section one, the art of war. And that is, Ali, your hints and tips for Dynasty players, old and new, and everything in between. So what do you got for us?
So firstly, I've done a list quite a few weeks ago when you asked me onto the show, and watching the shows, there was a certain guy, Lewis Wood. I've absolutely enjoyed the show massively, but for some reason, he must have seen my list from 1 to 3 because he read them out in order. Great minds think alike. So I've had to come up with 3 more. So I tried to come up with ones that people maybe haven't said, or just maybe say something a bit different about them. But my tip 1 is, one of my pet peeves really is the fact some people in Dynasty think that you have to win every single trade that you do with your teammates. They try and get every grain of value from every single trade that they do. And I get a lot of people that ask me, what do you think about this trade? And, that's really enjoyable for me to help people, get, nail a good trade in their Dynasty league. But sometimes they come back and say, oh, well, my Dynasty calculator says I'm losing it by a couple of points. What about if I, try and get another second out of it? And I'm just like, you really don't need to do that. You're going to put the other player off from dealing with you. It can be a real deal breaker, not just for that deal, but for down the line as well. I found that if you just give a little bit of value to start off with, people are far more likely to try and deal with you in the future and then create even better trades down the line. So I've got a guy in one of the leagues that I commissioned that he sends me probably 3 or 4 trades a week, and some of them are ridiculous, but they're just fun because he's sending me them all the time. And quite often we do find a medium where we hit on a really fantastic deal for both of us. And we've got that good communication, a good relationship between us. Yeah. So there's nothing worse than if someone sends you a trade which is just ridiculous and they think is fair, but it makes you not want to trade with them, for the rest of the season or whatever until they change their tune. But that's my tip 1, is you just don't have to smash every single trade. If you give a bit of value, that they might be willing to give you a bit of value down the line. So that'd be my tip 1.
Yeah, I like that as well. And it's, building that rapport with, like, you said there really interestingly, and it's kind of like you're like your teammates, like you're like your rivals sort of as well, but they're still the people keeping that league going. There's so many problems with leagues folding and things like that. And, getting that healthy trading relationship really helps. And, you'll often get people like, oh, I don't know. It's like, oh, I just need a third on top of that. It's like, no, you don't. Like you just want that, like just to, and sometimes, you can lean into that as well. Like you can play, what people always want to win a trade. So you might be like, oh, I'll give you a third on top. And they'll be like, oh yeah, but really, like you're just doing that to get it over the line. Like just, it's a very good tip. Like just try and be, like Lewis said as well, kind of like try and be nice to each other sometimes. And don't worry about winning every trade. And there's nothing worse than seeing, like, that's my biggest pet peeve is you'll send a trade out and you'll say, oh, not for me, mate, thanks. And you'll get just one post back and it'll be like a screenshot of a trade calculator showing you how this person's actually losing the trade. It's like, well, don't care. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to rinse your teammates. It's a fun competition. We all play because we enjoy it. We're not here to absolutely smash each other, and it's meant to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that as tip number 1. So what do you got for us for your second tip?
So I think this has been said before. I think it was Kev or someone said it, but it's tiers, and tiers to me are far more important than rankings 1 to 24. So especially when you're doing startups, it's great to have your rankings because right, said players off the board. This is my next highest player. I'm going to pick him. But if you want to get proper value, then you think, right, well, there's 3 players I've got in this one tier. I'm happy that they're not all going to go off the board. Perhaps I can trade back a couple of picks and pick up extra value, and I'm still going to get a player in that same tier. So for me, tiers are absolutely imperative to doing well in Dynasty. Get your rankings, but also put them into tiers because then which players are roughly the same value. You can trade sideways instead of backwards, and you're going to pick up value across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important as well. Like it just, being willing to trade back and pick up extra value whenever you need. And it is hard, ranking, players in that definitive, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because, that'll change so often, like 1 week, even if you look at matchups, like if you really wanted to be that fluid with it, you could change your rankings based on matchups and ease of schedule for that year. And I think putting them in tiers makes it much easier to kind of say, this is what I think of this, block of players. So yeah, I really like that, as looking at tiers and then finding value from those tiers. So I love that as a second tip, Ali. So what do you got for us for your third?
Okay, so it leads on to the draft nicely, really. So it's a draft tip, and you don't have to draft your starting lineup in your starting draft. You're not picking players 1 to 11. They're not the ones that need to fill your lineup. So if you've not got a second running back, don't reach for a running back for your starting lineup. Basically, just pick best player available when it comes to nearly every round. Obviously, apart from quarterback, I think in Superflex, it's imperative you get your quarterbacks early so you don't miss out. But then after that, just fill your team with best player available, because the amount of times or the amount of trades that you see straight after startups when the draft is finished, there's trades flying about left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
People didn't get their player, but they took a player that another guy liked, so they were able to get that player in a trade. So it's basically don't pick for starting lineup. Just pick best player available, and which I'll try and do tonight. But apart from that, just pick best player available. Apart from your quarterbacks, because you can always trade for need later on. Yeah,
I love that, and I think I might be wrong, but I think in a league that we're in to start up this year, I think some guy, I can't remember who it was, just got Aaron Rodgers at an absolute steal. And he already had his quarterback set, but he was like, I can't not take Aaron Rodgers here. And then he traded him later on for, a player that had been picked before Aaron Rodgers in the actual draft. So it's just, using that to your advantage and realizing that this isn't a draft, it's not a draft competition. It's like, you need to think of long term and thinking about value. I mean, that's sort of the very first tip that was on the show, was these picks and these positions and these players, once the season starts, it's a completely different ball game. And like the value, especially of the quarterbacks, that is just, if someone's desperate for a quarterback, they'll overpay for those quarterbacks. You've seen people, paying huge amounts to get like Taylor Heineke last year, and just because he was a starting quarterback. So use that to your advantage and play the long game with it. So I think that's a great tip for tip number 3. Pick the best player available, and now's your chance to do that, as we're about to put, well, who knows what will happen when we put a grill on a hot seat. So let's see, as we put Ali into the hot seat in part number 2, coming right up now. And right, here we are. It is segment number 2, and somebody call the fire brigade, because we've got the grill sitting on the hot seat, flames everywhere. It's out of control. Ali, how are you feeling?
Hopefully I'm not going to extinguish them flames when I pick my team. So I can't wait for this. I've been waiting for this a while, and slightly nervous that it's come around.
It's here. It's like Christmas.
I want to do myself justice. Yeah, and I want to beat Matt and Kev, obviously.
Nice, and let's see. And we just talked about this just off the recording there as well. We've got our usual, the 12 team 18 rounds, and Ali, you're taking a bit of a different tact as well. So by far and away, the most popular position to pick from has been position number 3, and you're like, that's too easy for a pro like me. You're thinking something else. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking I'm definitely going to go rogue. Number 3 is the ideal spot, because you got your 3 elite quarterbacks. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for number 12. I'm going to go absolutely crazy. I'm going to burn it to the ground and just see who drops to us at pick 12. I've got my eye on somebody, but I'm not going to reveal who it is until I'm disappointed that he goes at number 11.
Well, let's see who we end up with as we go from the back end of the draft, pick number 12, as we get this draft going. So, as you'd imagine, you got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. They're the 3 people that come off the boards almost exclusively at the start. And this heavy run of quarterbacks at the start, and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, Dak, DeAndre Swift going very high there as well. So at the end of the first round, the people sitting up at the top, Desean Watson has sort of crept up now towards the back end of the first round after being so far down at the start of this year. You got Christian McCaffrey and Najee Harris and Javonte Williams sitting up there too. Anyone standing out to you there?
Well, yes, the guy that I wanted has gone. He was available, I think, in this pick in the last show, so his ADP must have gone up slightly, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely pick quarterback with one of these spots just because there's such a wait until my next pick. With it, not being third round reversal, there's a hell of a wait to my next pick, and I want to get an elite guy, and I think there's definitely an elite guy up there. My quarterback 7, someone that is definitely going to get some sort of ban this season. Looking at probably 6 to 8 games maybe, but it's Dynasty, so I'm happy to take this guy. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's going to a team that's fairly decent. They've got a really good defense. They've got some offensive weapons. So I'm thinking my first pick's got to be Desean Watson. He was available a lot later in, a couple of months ago. His ADP shot up just because he's back. He's on a team. He's got a massive contract, so I've got no issues there. Except in the fact he's going to miss half the season probably. But it is Dynasty, so Desean Watson's going to be my pick at the 112, and I'm happy to get him there because, again, I think if you wait another few weeks or before the start of the season, he might go a lot earlier than this. So Desean Watson is going to be my pick here at the back end of round 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great pick. Desean Watson locked up, and I mean, you're right. I think actually he will start to go a little bit higher because I don't know, a hot take or not, but you look at some of the quarterbacks that have gone there. I'd take Desean Watson ahead of Joe Burrow every single time. Yeah,
he's just behind Joe Burrow in my dynasty rankings, but they're in the same tier. So again, I'd certainly take him above Dak Prescott for sure.
Yeah. And because of the luxury of pick number 12, we got back-to-back picks. So we're on the board once again. We've locked up one of our quarterbacks, certainly anyway, and we got the same sort of names at the top, some elite wide receiver options as well, with CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, and Cooper Kupp sitting up there, along with Miami's Tyreek Hill, still not over it.
Indeed, it's going to be fascinating to see how Tyreek and Tua get on. That could be a partnership made in heaven. And then you've got Jalen Waddle. I mean, how are you going to defend against those two weapons? It's going to be...
Don't know.
It's going to be far. As long as Tua's got, as long as he is as good as we think he can be. I know he was my rookie quarterback 1 ahead of Joe Burrow. So I'm certainly hoping that he can bounce back and be that quarterback for the Dolphins. But I'm looking now, I'm certainly not going to pick McCaffrey. I think that's far too early for McCaffrey. The same for Najee Harris. It's tempting to pick Javonte Williams and get an elite running back. It's looking like he could be in for a massive role. He's certainly got a quarterback upgrade in Russell Wilson, so that they look a real contender this year. So it's close between him, but in consideration as well as Kyle Pitts, he would definitely be in play for me, even in a non-tight end premium league. I think to get that elite option at tight end that you then haven't got to think about it for, till the later rounds. It's just going to be a cheat code because they've basically got no wide receivers at the minute. And he's going to get peppered with a ton of targets coming this year, and he's so young and he's such a beast. So he's certainly in play here. But I think I'm going to take my wide receiver 3 who's on the board here, and it's actually the guy at the bottom of that wide receiver list. I think I'm going to pick AJ Brown, an elite guy who's still really young. He's obviously wanting a new contract. I think he's going to get it. Just to lock up that elite option at wide receiver. You saw last year that where the running backs fell down, apart from the likes of Jonathan Taylor, there was wide receivers really took it to the next level. And if you had some of the elite guys like Jamar Chase last year, then your dynasty team done really well. So I think for me to have that elite option, I think a load of these guys will be gone, and I'll be left picking from sort of more receiver 2s come my next go. So I think I'm going to lock up AJ Brown as my pick 2.
Yeah, AJ Brown in there, great value. It's a bit surprising to see him at the bottom of that group, But you're right, he's probably in that same sort of tier, a tier system if you're looking at it as like a Devontae Adams. And yeah, expect him to just keep taking those steps up. AJ Brown, one of my favorite players to target last year as well. He took that little dip for like 4 or 5 weeks, and you could really just get in there and just throw first round picks in a player at him. And sometimes you get people to bite, which is, looking like, magic right now.
Definitely. He's not on the best offense. A lot of players think that, well, it's clear that offense runs through Derrick Henry at the minute, but he's getting up there in age. But it's going to be interesting what they do at the quarterback position with Ryan Tannehill. But AJ Brown is a lock. He's an elite wide receiver. He's my wide receiver 3. He's a very safe pick. So to get him in round 2, and I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now here we are at the back end of round number 3. We've got Stephon Diggs sitting up there near the top with J.K. Dobbins and Saquon Barkley all the way down at the end of round number 3. That's a huge fall from grace there. And Mark Andrews, the tight end, still on the board there, and some people we talked about earlier too, and Derrick Henry sitting there too. So anyone catching your eye of these prospects?
Yeah, so again, I think I've got 2 picks back to back, and again, once again, it's going to be a long wait until my next pick. So it is super flex, and I want to probably lock up a quarterback again here, because then I could be picking from, my quarterback sort of 20 downwards with my next pick. So could I just see the quarterbacks?
Yeah, so quarterbacks available. You got Stafford up at the top with Tua, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Zach Wilson there. I will say, if we're playing the honor system, as Garrett Price called it, Tom Brady will be lurking somewhere there. If you want to play the honor code, I think he'll be. I don't think he'll have gone yet, will he? No, he's all the way down there. But yeah, those are your quarterbacks available.
I'm wearing my Buccaneers hoodie, so it is tempting to have Tom Brady. The other thing is, because I've taken Desean Watson and I know that he's going to miss a certain part of the season, a large chunk of it. Yeah. I'm going to need 2 starting quarterbacks to be in my team for when he's not there. So I definitely need a quarterback in this situation. And I think looking at that, I'm going to be picking the guy that won the Super Bowl last year. He's in his mid-30s. I think he's still got 4, 5, possibly 6 decent years left in him. He's on a fantastic offense, fantastic offensive coach. I think it's a safe pick, especially for my quarterback 2. He's got the wide receiver 1 not in Dynasty, but for last season in Cooper Kupp. He's now got Allen Robinson as well, someone that I really like as a target. It's going to be Matt Stafford with one of these picks, so I might as well take him here. And I've locked up 2 starting quarterbacks for 2 good teams. I've then got my quarterback who's going to start while Desean Watson is not there. So yeah, I'm certainly happy with that start.
Yeah, you got to look Matthew Stafford in there. He knows what the Rams will do. They might trade away all their picks for more weapons still again and just double down and just keep doing what they've been doing. So even though they've already got Robinson, who knows who else that they'll add? I can see them going after a crazy tight end. Even I think they're all in on this. Just give away draft picks and win as many Super Bowls as they can. They're not done with this one. I think they're going to try and run it back.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to run it back. Well, they're going to try. They're going to fail to the Buccaneers, but they're going to try. But yeah, it's a fantastic offense. The chemistry he had with Cooper Kupp last year was unreal. And yeah, it's safe as houses to be a quarterback 1 this next year. So as my quarterback 2, that's definitely happy.
Love it. And we're still obviously on the board with our back-to-back picks. And somewhat tempting maybe to take someone like Tua here. So you have your 3 quarterbacks kind of locked in. And then you've obviously got, J.K. Dobbins coming off the injury, Antonio Gibson there as well. And then your elite tight end, Mark Andrews, sitting there too, as well as, some quality wide receivers still on the board.
Yeah, this is a difficult one. Certainly a spot I'd be trying to trade back a little bit for, I think. So I think my seat is warming up slightly, and just looking at the list, I'm definitely tempted by Mark Andrews, who I've famously not called elite in the past, but certainly he is he's elite now. He's my tight end 2 in Dynasty. So it'd be, can I just have a look at running backs and wide receivers, please?
Yeah, of course. So along with the people we talked about there, Chris Godwin is still sitting there, obviously Tampa Bay player for you there. Deontay Johnson, he's a funny one, right? Some people seem to really, really love him and think he's just got this huge breakout season coming, and other people are just like, nah, I'm just not fussed. I think I'm maybe in between. I think he's pretty good, but I'm not fully sold on Deontay Johnson yet.
Well, I love Deontay Johnson, but I don't love the quarterback situation that he finds himself in with Mitch Trubisky or a rookie quarterback if they're gonna draft one, which looks fairly likely. I think they could target a quarterback. So I don't love the situation. I love the fact that Juju's not there anymore. You certainly love that situation with him landing on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah,
I think that's a decent fit. I've got a lot of these in a similar tier, so it'd be difficult to take one ahead of the other. I think I'm actually going to take Mark Andrews. Is going to be my pick here. It's going to be my lockup, the tight end one from last year. Him and Lamar Jackson got fantastic chemistry. He's a massive weapon in that offense. It's now someone that I haven't got to think about that position for a long time. I'm happy to get Mark Andrews, and it's been a change in my strategy where I've always faded tight end to start off with and tried to find them gems in the latter half of the drafts. But the last couple of years, it's really not paid off. A lot of the tight ends you project to do well, they haven't done well and they haven't progressed. And you look at the fantasy playoffs and you just got to look at the teams, and most of them at the top, they've all got the elite tight ends. There's a common theme running through them. So I think you've got to have an elite tight end to compete, even in non-tight end premium.
Yeah, that is something I've said a few times in this show as well. Is to win a game in Dynasty Fantasy Football, you got to get the most points, and you have to play a tight end in every league. And some you have to play with a premium. Some you even have to play 2 tight ends. And if you can get someone like Mark Andrews who's scoring, if Mark Andrews was listed as a wide receiver, he would have been wide receiver 5 last year.
Yeah. So
that is outscoring, so many, elite options that, if someone told you, you can start Jamar Chase at tight end, you'd be like, oh, wow, obviously I'll do that. It's like, well, Mark Andrews wasn't that far behind Jamar Chase last year.
Yeah.
So, just think about it as points. I think Mark Andrews is just points, and he'll get you that. And compared to someone else who's going to be starting Tyler Higbee or somebody like that, Mark Andrews is going to blow him out the water. So I think it's having that elite tight end, even in non-premium leagues, is really important in my opinion. And we got that locked in now, which is great. And we're heading into the back end of round number 5 as we see, oh my goodness, Ezekiel Elliott at the back end of round number 5 is still there, along with Mac Jones and Keenan Allen, and one of my favorites, Michael Pittman Jr., still sitting on there, as well as, your boy Mike Evans is still there too.
He is still there, and I'm happy that he's still there. This is another tough spot, but surprised that Zeke Elliott's still there. He's certainly in consideration. Can I just look at running backs, please?
Yeah, of course. So Zeke is there. Elijah Mitchell there as well, who obviously looked fantastic last year. AJ Dillon, Leonard Fournette, and Michael Carter, of course. There, you could make someone very happy by taking Michael Carter.
Oh no, I've got to leave Michael Carter out. No, I do. I really like Michael Carter. I hope that the Jets don't draft a running back. I think he's set up for a fantastic year. I think the Jets are going to be a really decent offense this year. I really rate Zach Wilson as a quarterback. I think he's going to take some proper growth in year 2 in that offense. Yeah. I'm just looking forward to seeing what they do, and certainly Michael Carter with his pass catching ability could surprise a lot of people and finish as a running back 1 this year. I wouldn't be too surprised. I'm probably happy to still wait a little bit on running back. Can I have again with picking Desean Watson? He's going to miss going to miss half the season. I've got to say he's going to miss half the season, and then anything better than that is just a bonus. I've got a lot of these quarterbacks in the same tier, so I might play chicken and see if one of them will fall to me in the next couple of rounds. But
is it now? Would it still be within the code of honor to draft Tom Brady at the end of round number 5, or is that too far?
Well, I've actually got him ranked. It's very similar to these guys. I've got him ranked in Dynasty 18, just behind Derek Carr, and I think Derek Carr is still on the board. Is he still?
Surely not. He is. Yeah, Derek Carr is very far down the board actually, which is a bit surprising.
So I think I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that Derek Carr is still there with my next pick, because I think again, linking up with Devontae Adams, that's fantastic. But for now, I am going to back-to-back picks. I think I would lock in here. I'd have to go for my guy Mark Evans. He's going to be on the fringe of wide receiver 1 again this year. Chris Godwin's looking like he could miss the start of the season. We brought over Russell Gage from our rivals, the Falcons, but Mike Evans is still the number 1 weapon target on that offense.
Yeah,
he's produced 8 1,000-yard seasons in a row. He's the only guy to ever do it. So I think I'll lock in Mike Evans, and I think I do need to pick a runner back here, because you did mention him. Is someone that surprised a lot of people last year. I know we were talking him up a lot on the wild card heading into the draft, that Elijah Mitchell was the cheaper option in the 49ers offense. Obviously, they drafted Trey Sermon a lot earlier than Elijah Mitchell, but we just like the fact that Mitchell was the cheaper option. And Kyle Shanahan doesn't care about your draft capital. If you turn up and produce, then you're going to be their running back. And he took the offense by storm. He was fantastic. Raheem Mostert's now moved across to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So I think Elijah Mitchell's got a chance. There's always the chance that Trey Sermon comes back and, takes over the offense, or someone else comes in. But I think Elijah Mitchell, with how he started last year, he had such a big workload straight away. He was just fantastic on a really good offense with one of my favorite quarterbacks, Trey Lance. I think I need to lock up my first running back, which would be Elijah Mitchell.
Nice. I really like that. And, that is such a coveted position to try and get, is that 49ers running back. And Elijah Mitchell, he's done everything he possibly can to make him the guy there. And if he continues to play well, he'll continue just to be in that spot. And Elijah Mitchell just was dynasty gold last year. So let's hope he kind of continues it on into this year, as we're fast approaching our 7th pick, as we see, people like Wentz and Kirk Cousins flying off the board. We're hoping not to see Derek Carr. I didn't see Derek Carr's name there. He is still available, so that's what we wanted, is we're back on the board for back-to-back picks again. As Derek Carr's still available, as we talked about, along with Mike Williams still there, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, James Conner, and a host of others. So anyone you're thinking about there, Ali?
Yeah, so I think in real life situations, Derek Carr will probably be taken possibly a lot higher than this. Certainly ahead of Jared Goff. Probably Matt Ryan as well. I think the Raiders have seen what other teams are doing, and they've slightly gone all in. They've spent a lot of money on their defense, and obviously they've brought over Devontae Adams to link up with Derek Carr again from the old days. So I think Derek Carr would be a fantastic pick. If you could get him as a quarterback free, that's just money, because he's just signed a new deal. They're going to be together for quite a long time now, and linking up with Devontae Adams, we saw what Aaron Rodgers did with Devontae Adams. I'm not saying Derek Carr is Aaron Rodgers, because he's far from it, but it'll just give him such a lift, and they're going to produce so many touchdowns, and it'll be great to see them two link up again. So Derek Carr's definitely going to be one of my picks here, and I think it's going to be another guy that I had doubts about coming out in the draft last year. Could I just see wide receivers, please?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, you got the people we talked about earlier, along with Darrell Mooney still sitting there as well. Brandon Cooks, who seems to be quarterback proof, is still there as well. Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster, who you talked about earlier too, still available.
Yeah, so this is it's a fairly close one actually. There's two guys there. One of them, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I had doubts about last year. I didn't think he was going to produce in the NFL, but I was wrong. I know he was one of the only viable targets in that Detroit offense with all the injuries that they had, but he earned them targets in a way, and he produced some fantastic figures toward the end of the season. I have to believe that he's still going to be a big part of that offense going forward. I think they will draft or bring in a decent wide receiver as possibly wide receiver one, but I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a fantastic prospect, and he's probably a little bit lower here than he should be going. The other one is Danielle Mooney, and Kev absolutely hates this guy, I think. And Danielle Mooney, again, he surprised people last year with his chemistry he had with Justin Fields. Everyone thought, especially me, I called Allen Robinson the safest wide receiver one last year and got it fantastically wrong. Danielle Mooney earned all of them targets and just took it to another level. He was fantastic. He's got the speed. He's got that chemistry with Justin Fields. The fact they've got no one else really to compete against him for targets is fantastic. So he's definitely in play here. I'd rather have him as wide receiver 3 than, he will be wide receiver 3. So it's definitely between those two guys. My seat at this point is getting really, really hot now because I know I'm gonna make a decision and instantly regret taking
this. Is one where you put into the chat, it's like, anyone want to trade, and then put your phone down for like an hour.
Definitely. Obviously we've got Calvin Ridley on there, who's, again, if we're a rebuilding team, he'd be fantastic to take because he's an elite wide receiver when he does play. And then you got Brandon Cooks as well, who's forever underrated. He'll give you fantastic, just great production, and is always drafted far too low than he should be going. So I think I am going to go for let's go for Darnell Mooney. I'll surprise myself. I'll go Darnell Mooney, who I think is going to be the wide receiver one in that offense. He already had the fantastic chemistry with Justin Fields. And I think he's going to light it up this year and going forward. So I think it's my wide receiver 3. I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, you gotta love it, and of course gives you the chance to say Darnell to the Mooney, which everyone loves. Can't get enough of that.
Especially our Kevin.
Yeah. And we get Darnell Mooney locked up as we see some of those people we talked about earlier, Amon-Ra St. Brown, flying off the board, and we're coming into pick number 9 at the back end of the 9th round. We got pick number 9 and 10 back to back. So far, a very different draft, right, compared to the others that you've seen, like a pick number 3. So we're seeing the huge difference that starting position does make in a startup draft. To see a interesting run of tight ends. So Fryer with Gesicki, Knox, and Schultz all coming off the board. And here we go. We are in the back end of round number 9. Jared Goff, Jameis Winston, and Daniel Jones sitting up at the top. Chase, what happened? It says, Chase Edmonds, Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah, there's a bit of a turning point here, right? And it's not looking as nice as it was even a round ago. That long wait really just got rid of a lot of the high end players. Is anyone there you think, oh, there's a bit of value there, like a Juju Smith-Schuster, or are you wanting me to filter in some positions?
Yeah, so I think this backed up the point of where I took Mark Andrews. There's probably some position it could have felt like a reach. I think it was third, fourth round, but just to lock up that position, because I'd be scratching around for guys that might not even be a tight end 1 next season, and it's really looking grim. And also you've got Noah Fant, who's got the talent, another guy that Kev absolutely hates. I love the talent, and moving across to Seattle, it could work out there with whatever quarterback, Drew Lock or whether they draft a quarterback. Irv Smith Jr. is another one that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I probably got him ranked higher than he should be, but I just see the talent, and I think he's still got a great opportunity to kick on. And I think 2022 he could have a really big year. But then apart from that, you're looking at guys like Rob Gronkowski that might be retired at this stage.
Yeah.
Got Zach Ertz that I quite like.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm much happier to have an elite guy than have to rely on Zach Ertz week in, week out. So
I think great decision, taking that elite guy so early. I'm just wondering why JJ Arcega-Whiteside isn't on this top tier list here. He must have
not caught up yet.
Yeah, he must have gone already. Someone must have drafted him already. I'm sure. Yeah. So we've got a few other players up here. Has anyone caught your eye there, or you want me to have a look at certain positions for you?
Can I look at running back, please?
Yeah, of course. So let's have a look at running back. Rashad Penny still there, who we haven't mentioned. Cordova Patterson, there too. Could he repeat? And Devin Singletary had a great ending to the season at Buffalo. So is anyone there standing out for you? Raheem Mostert sneaking down the bottom there as well.
And Ronald Jones, your running back one for Kansas City.
Yeah, man. Ronald, he might be sneakily okay, because the Kansas City offensive line is excellent, at making space for people, and Rojo is like Jerick McKinnon was running past people last year because the offensive line is so good. So Ronald Jones, yeah, I've got some hope for him. Not a huge amount, but some.
Yeah, not sort of what I don't want to be taken in as my running back too. That's for sure. But there is an interesting couple of guys there. Well, 2 or 3 guys there. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, eventually will be the running back one for the Patriots. I think will eventually overtake Damian Harris. I think could be entering the last year of his contract or getting close to. So I think he's a good stash away. Then the guy underneath him is the most interesting, Rashad Penny, who looked fantastic. He looked like an elite running back at the back end of last year. We just pray that he can stay healthy. He's in that continued offense. So it's going to be tough because without Russell Wilson, looking like the Seahawks are in rebuild mode. But Rashad Penny would be a fairly safe running back to take and start week in, week out if he can keep healthy. But apart from that, you're looking at Cordova Patterson that started off amazingly last year, was their offense in Atlanta, then faded away. But he's getting up there in age. I think he's 30 or 31, so he's probably not in play here. And Devin Singletary is the other guy. He ended the year so fantastically, but if I took him, I'd be so scared that the Bills are going to draft a running back this week, and especially Breece Hall, that would just destroy Devin Singletary value. So I think I'm still going to fade the running back position for now. Can I just look at wide receiver, please?
Of course. So you got, Juju we talked about there. Michael Gallup obviously just re-signed for the Cowboys. Robert Woods at Tennessee's interest, not really been talked about too much. I think that's an interesting one there, with all the attention will be on Henry and AJ Brown. Robert Woods is a good player, and he's going to get, a lot of open looks, I think, at Tennessee. So he could be interesting. And then, of course, your favorite Kenny Golladay sitting underneath him.
Yeah, Kenny Golladay. I have to think that it can't get any worse for Kenny Golladay. So I don't know what happened to him, because he was at Detroit. He was such a good wide receiver. He was so smooth. He was just fantastic. And now he's just look what the Giants have done to him. But the guy that you've mentioned earlier and a couple of times, I think Juju Smith-Schuster, I think he's still 24, 25 years old. He came into the league so young. He's already produced wide receiver 1 season. I think he's wide receiver 8, and we know the talent he's got. We just need a place where he can stick onto. And what better to have Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback slinging you the ball? There's no Tyreek Hill now, so I think it's got a fantastic opportunity to produce in KC, and to get him as my wide receiver 4. I think that does represent great value, because if he has a decent season, I think is he on a 1-year deal?
Yeah.
I think it's a prove it deal. if he has a fantastic season, I think the market will be pretty hot for him again next year. Maybe the Chiefs re-sign him, which would be ideal. And I think you'll get fantastic draft value from Smith Schuster. So this sort of comes into what I said about just drafting the best player available. I think his value could be the highest in 6 months, 12 months time, where you can trade him away. I don't need to start him every single week. I could trade him away for an asset. So I think Juju's got to be the pick here.
Yeah, I think that's good. Juju, getting him locked up. Tyreek Hill has obviously gone, but the Chiefs have let go the majority of that wide receiver room. It's just kind of like Mecole Hardman is left there of, the players from like 2 years ago. They're all sort of, Gordon is gone, I think. You got people like, it is just Mecole Hardman that is left. Byron Pringle's off committing crimes somewhere else. Like it's Juju and Hardman, and hopefully, some others that will be added in the draft. Even back-to-back wide receivers might be quite nice.
George Pickens would be wonderful.
Pants off. As you guys said, pants off for George Pickens. Yeah, so I would love that to happen. So we've got Juju locked in as our pick in the 9th round, and I'll just put everybody back on the board for you there as we're back-to-back picks again. Anybody standing out for you on the board there? You got some interesting quarterbacks still there. Davis Mills standing out to me personally there. I think I'm a big believer in Davis Mills and Pep Hamilton as well, who's a bit of a quarterback whisperer, so I think he'll maybe work his magic on Davis Mills too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd love to buy into Davis Mills at the minute, especially while there's a little bit of rookie hype about the quarterbacks. Not much as I'd like to, but
yeah,
Davis Mills, he surprised a lot of people last year, including myself. Managed to take him so late in drafts last year, and
yeah,
he definitely showed that he can be the Texans' quarterback one. They're certainly not thinking about quarterback, I don't think, at the minute. So I think he's going to be safe heading into this year. But yeah, who knows if he has another good year where he takes another step. Then I know you've been buying a lot of shares of Davis Mills. Well, those shares could be worth a hell of a lot more in a year's time, where you can trade a few of them away, and you've made plenty of value there. So
yeah,
that's the sort of move that I like to make. But just looking at the board, it's between, I don't need to think about quarterback and I don't need to think about tight end. So I think it's between a couple of running backs in this situation. And it is Ramondre Stevenson. Chase Edmonds is interesting in Miami. He has shown flashes of what he can do. He probably is going to be the running back one, but then you've got Mostert coming in. There's a whole host of running backs that could just, I think it's going to be a committee. So I'm not really interested in taking Edmonds. I think at this stage, I'm going to take a punt on Rashad Penny. There's no real wide receivers that are taking a pick. Laviska Shenault is someone that I was so high on last year and just disappointed so much that I've still not given up complete hope, but there's not that much hope left. I think Rondale Moore is interesting as well, especially the fact that Christian Kirk's now gone. I think if everything is well again in Arizona with Kyler Murray, you've got DeAndre Hopkins coming back. I think that could be a really good offense, and Rondale Moore from the slot, and with his speed, he showed a couple of weeks where he was fantastic. He scored so many points, but then he didn't do much else. So I think, can I just see running backs just to see if I was to not take Penny, what am I left with? And oh Jesus.
Yeah. You've got I think Devin Singletary, I don't know if he will be there as we came around again. And then you got Ronald Jones, Myles Gaskin, who's part of that committee at Miami, Zach Moss, who's, not great. Raheem Mostert, also that Miami committee, and then Chuba Hubbard and Trey Sermon, Kenyon Drake, and then you get into your PPR guys after that.
Yes, like you say, it's PPR guys, and it's the backups, which is not ideal. So I am going to take a running back in this situation, and I'm going to take a punt on Rashad Penny, being that elite guy that he finished the season as. He was fantastic. He was a ball hog. He looked brilliant between the tackles. He's great explosiveness. If he can keep that up, I think he can be a really safe wide receiver to start as long as he can just stay healthy.
Yeah, love it. Let's get Rashad Penny in. And yeah, you're right. If he does stay healthy, like that is, great news. And you can even lean into the tip that you give, at the start as well. Like the team you draft doesn't have to be the team that starts. Like if you get Rashad Penny and he has 3 weeks looking amazing and you're still not quite confident he'll stay healthy, then you can sell him and like move on from there. So yeah, he's definitely going to be the starter week 1, I think. And if he explodes then his value just skyrockets from there.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not going to be winning no championships realistically with Rashad Penny as my runner back too. So again, ideally I'd like to move on from him potentially. I've got some good quarterbacks, good wide receivers that I could trade away and possibly get a runner back in the season. There's plenty of options. So yeah, I think I'm happy. He's probably the highest guy on my board when I picked him. So.
And we're back on the board here in round number 11. And Devin Singletary did come back around, which is quite interesting. Along with, Christian Kirk, who we talked about earlier. You think he must be used in Jacksonville, the amount that they're paying him. So he's a really interesting prospect. Or, of course, the very controversial pick, DJ Chark, still, sitting there, Kev's favorite player.
He historically had him above Jalen Waddle in his rankings. So I think that was a mistake. So we can't grill him too much, but it is funny. We're not going to let him forget that one. But yeah, one guy that we spoke about is interesting here. Surprising to see Devin Singletary. And I think it's a decent spot to take a chance on Devin Singletary, because if they end up not drafting a running back or just take one late on, then I think Devin Singletary is in line for, again, a fairly big workload this year on a fantastic offense with Josh Allen and the number 1 dynasty quarterback. So I think the upside is worth taking a pick here. And then the other guy that you mentioned, I think Christian Kirk, that is one of the highest paid wide receivers, unbelievably.
Yeah,
he's going to get used in Jacksonville, and he's now linked to Trevor Lawrence, someone that I was really high on coming out last year, and I still am really high on him. I think you can write off last year with everything that happened in Jacksonville. It was a bit of a disaster. I can forgive him, and I think he's got so much upside. He's one of the best college prospects we've ever seen at the quarterback position. So you've got to believe that that's going to translate into the NFL. So I think, could I just see the wide receivers, just to see if I wasn't going to pick Kirk, who else could I pick? And there's terrace, get off the terrace.
Gable Davis as well, one of the highest selected players from this show, Gabe Davis, and some interesting people as well. There's Russell Gage, obviously you talked about, but he's got so much competition all around him.
He has. So yeah, I think my 2 picks are probably going to be locked in here. There is some interesting guys, but to get Christian Kirk, I think it's now going to be my wide receiver 5. I think he provides some really good upside. They're going to have to use him the amount of money that they paid him. Yeah. I think I liked him on Arizona last year. I think we've talked a lot about him on the wild card as someone that you can buy low, and we hope that he stayed in Arizona. It's not ideal that he's moved away, but then he's been given massive amount of money, so they're going to use him. So Christian Kirk, I'll be very happy to take as my wide receiver 5, and then I'll take Devin Singletary as well, running back 3. I think he provides enough upside at round 12 where if they don't draft that running back, then I've certainly smashed the pick here. If they do, then it's a round 12 pick, so it's not the end of the world.
You just got to look at the players going around him at this stage as well. You got like Curtis Samuel and Alexander Madison and Myles Gaskin, Terrace Marshall. The potential ceiling there is far, far higher for Kirk and Singletary there than any of these guys, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're back on the board in round number 13. Oh, actually, Ali, what I'll do is I'll just show you and people watching and listening what we got so far. So you got your 3 quarterbacks and your 3 running backs. Then you've got your 5 wide receivers and 1 tight end as well. So that's kind of the layout of your team at the minute as we're in round number 13. Is there any position you would like to see in particular, or is there someone that's jumping off the page looking at you there?
I just want to have a quick look at the tight ends just to see if there's anyone interesting with a lot of upside left. I was hoping to see Irv Smith there, but he's not there, unfortunately.
Yeah, just gone off the board, unfortunately. Yeah, Hunter Henry sitting there, and some Zach Ertz, said you mentioned Albert O as well, who's slowly creeping up, the ADP list. He maybe, I don't know if he'd be gone at this stage, but he'd be pretty close to around this kind of round 13 area.
Yeah, so Albert O is definitely interesting here. I don't know about the honor system, whether it's still able to take Albert O at this position. I think it's crept up enough where it'd be fine to take him. Albert O, we've not seen too much from him, but he's got all the elite traits we look for. He's now obviously linked with Russell Wilson, so putting the two and two together, we think he could be a fantastic dynasty tight end. So if we just look at running back and wide receiver, please.
So yeah, it's a bit of a wasteland slightly. Russell Gage is there, Zach Moss, Van Jefferson. Yeah, there's not a huge amount there.
There's not a huge amount there, no. Certainly a lot of guys that I'm fading at the minute. Could I just have a look at wide receivers?
Yep. So people who are kind of popping up there at wide receiver, you got, Paris Campbell, who's, always injured, has a potential just injured all the time. Marquez Callaway, he looked pretty good last year, I think he kind of dropped the ball a bit last year, Marquez Callaway. I think that was his moment to be, the guy there, and he did okay, but he didn't seize it.
Yeah, I think I wrote about him going into last season and just basically echoed what you just said there. It was his chance to shine with, no Michael Thomas. It was a barren, wasteland of wide receiver room, and he really was disappointing. He flashed one week. I had him in plenty of my dynasty teams, and he was just unable to start him just because you never know what you're going to get from him. And I was definitely disappointed with what he showed last year.
It was those catches in preseason just got everybody so excited, right? And then that was basically the best of it from him, unfortunately.
It was the Terrace Marshall effect, where he was absolutely balling out at preseason and then just disappeared. So I am probably going to be taking again. Albert O is definitely interesting. Can I just have a look at running backs, please?
Yeah. So running back, you've got, sort of those PPR guys that we talked about before. Gus Edwards is sort of sneaking down the bottom there as well. As, people like, we talked about Trey Sermon earlier. You do have Elijah Mitchell. Might be interesting to pair up him and Sermon.
Yeah, that's certainly something that I've been thinking about. You have that bit of safety blanket. They could easily bring somebody else in, and it could be someone off the street, and he ends up as the starter. That's just how it goes with San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's one of them picks where it's just disgusting to make. It doesn't feel good when you pick Trey Sermon, whereas I felt really good about picking Juju in the last round, and this doesn't feel great. It's got to that point that every one of the shows where people are just like, I'm really not sure which one to take here. Definitely Gus Edwards is certainly interesting with the Ravens running back room. They don't seem to feature one guy. We had Le'Veon Bell and all sorts of players producing last year with the injuries. You've got him and J.K. Dobbins coming off major injuries. So Gus Edwards is definitely in play. It's between him, Trey Sermon. Russell Gage was also interesting for me. I think with Chris Godwin missing the start of the season, I think he could see a value spike if he has a couple of good games to start the season. And Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are forever getting injured. I think it's just the play style that Russell Gage could slot in there very nicely and take plenty of targets. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pray that Gus Edwards is there in the next time I come to pick, which could be a mistake. But I'm going to go for Russell Gage as one of my picks here.
Yep.
A bit of a homer pick, and I'm going to go for... Do I go Albert O? Yeah, I'll go Albert O, just because I think if he does hit it off with Russell Wilson, then I think I'm going to have a piece that I can trade away and possibly get a nice rookie pick or running back or wide receiver, whatever I need at the time. I think he's someone that's got the most upside left out of the guys left on the board.
Yeah, I think that's nice as well. And that's your second tight end kind of locked up, and was good as well about, coming back to that, taking that elite like tight end early. If Albert O is playing well enough, then you can start Albert O as your tight end and just play Mark Andrews in a flex spot because he's that good. He will get that many points. So yeah, you gotta be happy. That's great value there getting Albert O. And we were hoping and praying that. Oh, has he gone?
He's there, number 4 on the list.
Oh, he's there. Gus Edwards. He is still available on the board there in round number 15. So is that what you're thinking right off the bat, or you want to see what else is available?
I'll see running backs, and actually let's have a quick look at quarterbacks just to see. I just want to see, interestingly, who's left.
Marcus Mariota, he is officially the starter at the moment. Is still there, and I don't think anyone else there is a starter from what I can see. No, I don't think so.
So I think if this was a real life situation, I probably would be going Marcus Mariota, just because you're getting a starting back this late in the draft. Again, it's going to be an asset that you can trade away. There's always people that fade quarterback and they end up getting burned because of it, and they're chasing the quarterback. As you mentioned at the start of the show with Taylor Heineke, people were paying second round picks or whatever for him last year just because they needed a starting quarterback. So in a real life situation, I probably would pick Marcus Mariota here. But if I could just look at running back and wide receiver, actually let's go, running back and wide receiver. I think Gus Edwards is going to be one of my picks here. And there's another pretty interesting guy on the board, and he could be the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay this year, which is Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
By process of elimination with MVS and Devontae Adams.
Oh yeah, the Chiefs have got MVS. I literally completely forgot about that. As we were talking about the Chiefs wide receiver room earlier.
Yeah, we forgot.
Forgot about MVS.
How can you forget about the best ball star?
Yeah.
But yes, Alan Lazard is definitely interesting guy here. I think he'd definitely be my pick. Tim Patrick is someone again that I think is a bit underrated. He's not got the most hype about him at all. But again, with the quarterback upgrade, I think he showed flashes last year of what he can do. But I think the two that offer the most upside would be Gus Edwards, just because who knows what the Ravens are going to do with their running back room. If J.K. Dobbins isn't fully healthy when he's at the start of the season or has another injury, then Gus Edwards could pick up the pieces and become a really good wide receiver next year. I know he's getting on in age, but he's showed what he can do. And I think at this stage in the draft, that's what I'm looking for is guys with upside. If Dobbins suffered an injury, then I know I could trade away Edwards, to a contender this year and pick up some nice draft capital. So I think Gus Edwards and Alan Lazard would be my two picks at this spot.
Awesome. Let's get Gus Edwards locked in and Alan Lazard, the Lizard King, locked in as well, as we're about to head in to our final 2 picks. As we do see Marcus Mariota flying off the board there. He won't be available for our last 2 picks of the draft. And this is always interesting to see the names coming off here. It's like Jamison Crowder, Evan Ingram, who I will not stop drafting ever. He's just, I always see this potential with him for some reason. I don't know why fully, but I've got a lot of Evan Ingram shares, so hopefully that will pan out eventually. And here we go.
It was that first season. I think he was tight end 4 or something. Where in his rookie year, and everyone thought, "Wow, this is the next." Athletic, great tight end, and then it just I don't know what happened to him, but I think it's still a value. I think you never know, he could hit it off in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think there's a small chance. You never know. And here we are. We're on number 17. Who's sitting up here? That looks interesting. You know, is Marlon Mack the starter in Houston?
Yeah, I believe so. And I actually missed this one. I've got a lot of shares of Marlon Mack because I've always rated him as a running back, but he's been stuck behind Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines, so he's not been given any work. But when he has started in the past, he's showed that he is a capable running back. And I even missed it. Someone tried to trade Marlon Mack from my team, and I was like, why are they trying to get Marlon Mack? He's literally got no value, stuck behind Jonathan Taylor. And then I looked into it, and he was traded, or he went to the Texans 8 days ago, and I was like, well, I completely missed that one.
Yeah,
obviously quite happy with it, having quite a few shares of him. So he's definitely in consideration with one of these picks. I probably will be taking him with one of these two picks.
Yeah, he was one that was for all my leagues that the waivers were still open. He was on almost every waiver, and it was just going in, just being like, yep. Like take as many Marlon Macks as you could.
Yeah, well, listen to a lot of the Buccaneers media. They were saying that the team had been linked with Marlon Mack for quite a while. They've always liked him, so I thought that could have been a decent fit. But they obviously never made the move for him. But thankfully, he's got the move, and just you managed to pick him off waivers, and now he's got an actual trade value. So yeah, that's a good win there.
Absolutely. So we got thinking Marlon Mack, and anyone else standing out for you there? Or are you wanting to see specific positions?
Yeah, I'll just have a look at the wide receivers, please.
So wide receivers, you got Darius Slayton, Tylan Wallace. Quintez Cephas, before Amon-Ra St. Brown had his breakout, Quintez Cephas was doing very well, and obviously had that horrendous injury. MVS, who we talked about, is still sitting there, and Antonio, who knows? Is Antonio Brown going to try and box Jake Paul or something? Is that what's happening? Like, I don't know.
Who knows? I think he's just dropped his album, so I mean, who knows? Who knows what he's up to these days? But it was a shame what happened. Quite funny though how it ended in Tampa Bay.
Oh, honestly, just for the memes alone, like that was
yeah, it was gold, wasn't it?
Yeah, just like the one of Thanos putting his that's remarkable. So yeah, he is an option that you could pick, but maybe wouldn't be the wisest one. So is anyone there standing out? I could scroll down as well, I suppose. Well, Keneal Harry, an interesting one as well. He is pushing for a trade. Will he get it or not? I almost think the Bill Belichick is too stubborn to give him that, and I think he'd rather see him rot than trade him.
I think you might be right. I think Matt, unfortunately, was really high in N'Keal Harry, and he's never forgave himself for taking him in the first round. But there was a lot of people who was drawn into it. I picked him in one league, and I've absolutely hated the pick ever since. But there's a guy at the right at the bottom of the list. KJ Hamler is fairly interesting. Again, he's on that high-powered offense now with Russell Wilson, and it could be the cheapest one of the lot, where he's the speed demon. He could really link up with Russell Wilson. He's certainly got some upside. And then MVS is probably the other one at Kansas City. There's not that many targets to go around. There are not that many receivers that, Mahomes has got to pass to one of these guys, and MVS has got plenty of speed. It's just a guy that I think Patrick Mahomes is going to love linking up with, throwing it deep. So it's definitely between MVS and KJ Hamler. I think we're going to go for MVS just because the link with Patrick Mahomes is too good. You don't know who's going to be the wide receiver one on this offense, and if it turned out that MVS and Patrick Mahomes have got a great connection, then we've absolutely smashed this pick right at the back end of the draft. It's someone again that you can trade away to. It's someone that will attract value because of the link with Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
So I think he's my pick here.
So MVS, and are you wanting Marlon Mack as your other pick as well?
I just see the the running backs just again.
Lovely.
Just,
well, I'll get MVS locked in.
Yeah.
and then I'll pause and we'll look at the running backs. So yeah, it was Marlon Mark and David Johnson's up there as well. Philip Lindsay's at Miami as well. Like he's getting buried underneath everyone else at the minute. And yeah, those are your other running back. Dante Foreman going to Car. That's an interesting one. Foreman to the Panthers. He looked quite good towards the end of last year.
He did look good actually. He's another guy that was you could pick up off waivers. A lot of people have dropped him now that he's moved away, and he wasn't the running back one in Tennessee while Derrick Henry was injured. But he certainly showed his ability. But I think Marlon Mack, a guy I think is still 25 years old, something like that, 26. I think he's still got a few years ahead of him. Who knows who's going to be the Texans running back one, but I think he's got a great shot. We've seen him be a running back one before. And I think at this stage, I've not got too many running backs as it is, but I think the value is fine here for Marlon Mack. And if you're getting a potential starting running back at this stage of the draft, then you've absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, I agree completely. So let's get Marlon Mack locked in as our final pick of the draft. And Ali, you can kind of breathe deeply now, relax as the seat is cooling down a little bit for you as we wind down with Tylan Wallace, Philip Lindsay, Tariq Cohen, and the final pick, Jamal Williams over at Detroit. So let's have a little look. We're filtered by position already, so let's see how we did with this team, Ali. You got 3 quarterbacks. You got Desean Watson, Matthew Stafford, and Derek Carr. I mean, that's
solid.
Yeah, you got to love that, absolutely. Our running back room of Elijah Mitchell, Rashad Penny, Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards, and Marlon Mack. All very high-end running backs there. Huge potential. I think that it'll really pivot on. If Penny and Singletary hit, then you've absolutely smashed it there.
Yeah. They're just up. They're just like there's a few guys that are one injury away, or just one thing that can happen, and then they're really good running backs that could all finish in the top 15, top 20 this year.
Absolutely agree. And then, the wide receiver room looks absolutely fantastic with AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Darnell Mooney, Juju Smith-Schuster, Christian Kirk, Russell Gage, Alan Lazard, and MVS Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Very strong wide receiver room there.
Yeah, I think the value is probably later on in the draft where you've been able to pick up guys like Alan Lazard that potentially could be wide receiver one. You've got MVS, who again now linked to an elite quarterback. Christian Kirk, you've just got to follow the money. He's going to earn targets. And then Juju again. It's just upside guys. Juju's finished as a wide receiver one before, so he could finish as wide receiver one again. Who knows? And to get him as wide receiver four, that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And even like Mike Evans at the end of the 5th round is very, very good value there, I think.
Well, he's one of the safest picks. We've got another year of Tom Brady chucking him the ball, so you can pencil in 10 to 15 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, it's going to be fringe wide receiver one figures from Mike Evans. So he's solid as ever.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got your 2 tight ends. You got Mark Andrews and Albert O there as well, which is just excellent work there at the tight end position. So, how are you feeling after drafting your hot seat team, Ali?
It's not too bad, to be honest. It's difficult picking from the 12 because although it's good in a way because you get to control sort of where the draft goes, picking back-to-back players, but you just know you've got that massive weight. So whereas if you're sort of towards the end of one of the rounds, you can try and work out what guy might fall back to me. It's just a complete lottery when you've got all those picks between your two, and it is difficult. But I've locked up 3 really good quarterbacks that I can all see finishing. Well, Deshaun Watson's going to miss half the season probably, but Stafford and Carr could easily finish as quarterback ones in their own right this year. And then Deshaun Watson is an elite quarterback, and I think it's an absolute solid draft. I'd be happy to have those players and that lineup and that team if it was a dynasty roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've done a great job, especially you cranked up the heat right at the very start from picking at position 12, which no one's done before, and no one may be brave enough to do it again. You might be the only one. So I think you've done an excellent job on here, Ali. And I just want to thank you once again for coming on to the show and, giving everyone those amazing hints and tips and, drafting this amazing team from position number 12, which, nobody wants to do. No one's been brave enough to do yet, but, you've set a new bar for bravery and for turning up the heat as much as possible, which, we expected at the start whenever the grill meets the hot seat.
I couldn't not do it being the grill. I couldn't pick safe. So yeah, I had to go rogue and pick from the 12. But it's been interesting because, I've watched every single one of your episodes. Absolutely fantastic. Just to see the different strategies. Just wanted to show a different strategy from number 12, and just, if you are picking from number 12 in your startups this year, you kind of get a taste of the guys that could fall to you at pick 12.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And just once again, for everybody watching, please remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, give this a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get Ali onto this Hall of Flame board. The more thumbs up he gets, the higher up he's going to go. Let's see if we can overtake. We've got Paul and we've got Kev and we've got Murph sitting up at the top in the top 3. So let's see how high we can get Ali to go. And remember, if you're listening to this and you're not subscribed yet, do us a favor, hit that little button and subscribe. Let's see if we can get to that 50 subscribers on YouTube target, and make sure you give a follow over on Twitter as well. And just one more time, Ali, thank you so much for coming on and being an unbelievable guest. And thank you so much to everyone for listening. And remember, even though the hot seat's cooling down for another while, you should always keep yourselves and your teams lit. I'll see you next time.